The silence after Sophia's declaration felt like thunder. Every camera phone in the Plaza Hotel ballroom was pointed at her. Every whispered conversation had stopped, and every pair of expensive eyes was dissecting the girl in the server's uniform, who had just claimed to be engaged to New York's most eligible bachelor. Hello, gorgeous family. Welcome back to Luxurious Obsession Stories. If you missed part 1, go watch it right now, because part 2 is about to get wild. We're diving straight into the aftermath of the biggest lie ever told. And trust me, what happens next will have you on the edge of your seat. Smash that subscribe button and drop a crown emoji if you're ready for the most intense love story of the year. Sophia stood frozen in the center of the ballroom, still holding pieces of broken champagne glass, as Victoria Sterling's face twisted into something that looked like pure evil. The silence stretched on forever, until finally, Aunt Margaret clapped her hands together in delight. "Well, this is wonderful!" she exclaimed loudly. Finally, some excitement at one of these boring parties. That broke the spell. Suddenly, everyone was talking at once. Cameras were flashing, and people were pushing closer to get a better look at the mysterious fiancé who had appeared out of nowhere. Damien was already moving through the crowd toward Sophia, his face a mixture of panic and something that looked almost like hope. "Excuse me coming through," he said firmly, using his height and presence to part the sea of curious socialites. When he reached Sophia, he gently took the broken glass from her trembling hands and passed it to a nearby server. Then he looked into her eyes, and Sophia saw something there that made her heart skip. Gratitude, relief, and something deeper that she didn't dare name. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, loud enough for only her to hear. Sophia nodded, not trusting her voice. "Thank you," he whispered, so quietly she almost missed it. Before Sophia could respond, Victoria Sterling appeared beside them like a beautiful storm cloud. "How romantic," Victoria said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Though, I have to say, this is quite a surprise, Damien. I had no idea you were seeing someone." "Victoria," Damien started, but she cut him off. "And such an interesting choice," Victoria continued, her eyes scanning Sophia's uniform with obvious disdain. "Tell me, dear, how exactly did you two meet?" Sophia felt every person in the room leaning in to hear her answer. Her mouth went dry. "We," Sophia started, then stopped. How could she possibly explain this? "We met at work," Damien said smoothly, stepping slightly closer to Sophia. "Sophia works very hard, and I've always admired that about her." It wasn't exactly a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. Victoria's smile became sharper. "At work? How fascinating. And what kind of work do you do, Sophia?" The question hung in the air like a trap. Sophia knew that everyone in this room would judge her the moment she said she was a maid, but she also knew she couldn't lie. "I work in building services," Sophia said quietly, lifting her chin with as much dignity as she could manage. "Building services?" Victoria repeated, making it sound like something dirty. "How humble?" "There's nothing wrong with honest work," Damien said, his voice getting cold. "Of course not," Victoria agreed with false sincerity. "It's just so different from what we're used to. I'm sure it will be quite an adjustment for Sophia entering our world." The emphasis on our world was like a slap in the face. Sophia felt her cheeks burn with shame and anger. "I think Sophia will fit in just fine," Damien said firmly. "Oh, I'm sure she will," Victoria said, but her tone suggested the opposite. "Well, congratulations to you both. I simply can't wait to see how this all develops." There was something in the way she said "develops" that made Sophia's stomach clench with dread. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Sophia found herself being introduced to person after person, all of whom smiled politely, while their eyes clearly said, "What is she doing here?" Damien stayed close to her the entire time, fielding questions and deflecting the more obvious insults with practiced ease. But Sophia could feel the judgment radiating from every corner of the room. These people knew she didn't belong here, and they weren't shy about showing it. Finally, as the party began to wind down, Damien's parents approached them. His mother was elegant and cold, with the kind of beauty that came from excellent plastic surgery and unlimited budgets. His father was tall and distinguished, with silver hair and the air of a man who was used to being obeyed. Damien, his mother said, her voice carefully neutral. Perhaps you could introduce us to your friend. Father, this is Sophia Martinez, Damien said, his hand finding Sophia's and squeezing gently. Sophia, these are my parents, Eleanor and Robert Blackwell. Sophia extended her hand. It's lovely to meet you both. Eleanor Blackwell looked at Sophia's outstretched hand for a moment before taking it with just the tips of her fingers, as if she was afraid of catching something. How unexpected, Eleanor said. Damien has never mentioned you before. We've been keeping things quiet, Damien said. Evidently, Robert Blackwell said dryly. And how long has this relationship been going on? Sophia felt like she was being interrogated. Not long, she said quietly. I see. Eleanor's smile was arctic. And your family, dear? What do they do? My mother is. Sophia paused, not wanting to mention her mother's illness to these strangers. She's not working right now. My father passed away when I was 16. I'm sorry for your loss, Robert said, and he actually sounded like he meant it. What did he do? He was a construction worker. The silence that followed was deafening. Sophia could practically hear Eleanor Blackwell's opinion of her plummeting even further. How honest, Eleanor said finally. I think we should let Sophia get some rest, Damien said, clearly recognizing that this conversation was going nowhere good. It's been a long evening. Of course, Eleanor said. Perhaps we could all have dinner soon, get to know each other better. The way she said it made it sound more like a threat than an invitation. As they were leaving, Sophia caught sight of Victoria Sterling talking intensely to a man with a camera. Victoria's eyes met Sophia's across the room, and she smiled a smile that made Sophia's blood run cold. The war had begun. The next morning, Sophia woke up in her tiny apartment feeling like the night before had been a dream. But when she checked her phone, she found 17 missed calls from numbers she didn't recognize and dozens of text messages. Her heart sank as she read them. Is it true you're engaged to Damien Blackwell? Girl, you're all over the internet. Call me back right now. With shaking hands, Sophia opened her web browser and searched for Damien's name. The results made her stomach drop. Headlines screamed from every gossip site. Blackwell heirs secret engagement to hotel maid. From rags to riches, the Cinderella story that has night talking. Who is Sophia Martinez, the mystery woman who stole a billionaire's heart? But it was the photos that made Sophia want to disappear. Someone had managed to get pictures of her in her server's uniform, looking shocked and overwhelmed. In every single photo, she looked exactly like what she was, a working-class girl who was completely out of her depth. The articles were even worse. They dug into her background, her family's financial struggles, her mother's illness. Everything she had tried to keep private was now splashed across the internet for millions of people to judge. Sophia was still staring at her phone in horror when it rang. Damien's name appeared on the screen. Sophia? His voice was tense. Have you seen? I've seen it, Sophia said quietly. I'm sorry, I had no idea they would dig this deep this fast. My security team is working on getting some of the more invasive articles taken down. It's okay, Sophia lied. I knew this would happen. No, it's not okay. And Sophia, don't read the comments. Just don't. But of course, Sophia had already read the comments. They ranged from barely concealed racism to outright cruelty. Gold digger alert? She's obviously just using him for money. What does a billionaire see in a maid? This won't last a month. She's pretty, but come on, they have nothing in common. He's going through a phase. Rich guys always slum it for a while. Each comment felt like a knife to her heart, mostly because part of her agreed with them. What did she have to offer someone like Damien Blackwell? Sophia, are you still there? I'm here, she said. I want to see you. Can I come over? Sophia looked around her tiny apartment, the peeling paint, the secondhand furniture, the stack of her mother's medical bills on the kitchen counter. The thought of Damien seeing how she really lived made her feel sick. I don't think that's a good idea, she said. Why not? Because you'll realize how different we really are, Sophia thought. Because you'll see that all those people online are right. I need some time to process all this, she said instead. There was a pause. Okay, but Sophia, we need to talk soon. About what happens next. What happens next? Sophia had been so focused on getting through the moment at the party that she hadn't thought about what came after. Now she was supposedly engaged to one of the most powerful men in New York, and she had no idea how to be the kind of woman who belonged in his world. After she hung up, Sophia sat on her lumpy couch and tried to figure out what she had gotten herself into. Her phone kept buzzing with calls from reporters, friends, and numbers she didn't recognize. Finally, she turned it off and just sat in the silence of her small apartment, wondering if she had made the biggest mistake of her life. Meanwhile, across town in his penthouse office, Damien was pacing behind his desk like a caged tiger. The morning newspapers were spread across his conference table, and every single one had their photo on the front page. "The board is not happy," his assistant Marcus said, looking up from his tablet. "3 major investors have called this morning asking about the stability of leadership, and your mother has called 6 times. "I'll deal with my mother later," Damien said. "What about the press?" "The PR team is working on damage control, but honestly, the story is too big to contain. Everyone wants to know about the mysterious maid who stole your heart." Damien stopped pacing and looked out the window at the city below. Somewhere down there, Sophia was probably reading the same articles he was, probably feeling hurt and overwhelmed, and wondering if this was all worth it. The truth was, he had been falling for her long before last night. Every morning when he saw her in his office, carefully arranging fresh flowers or making sure his coffee was exactly the right temperature, he had felt something he'd never felt with any of the society women his parents paraded in front of him. Sophia was real. She was kind. She cared about things that mattered. But he also knew that his world would try to destroy her for it. "Sir?" Marcus was looking at him with concern. "What do you want me to tell the board?" "Tell them I'll address their concerns at tomorrow's meeting," Damien said. "And Marcus, I want you to put together a security detail for Sophia. Nothing obvious. Just make sure she's safe." "You think she needs protection?" Damien thought about the look in Victoria Sterling's eyes the night before. "I think she's about to find out just how cruel my world can be." That afternoon, Sophia was at the grocery store trying to buy food for dinner when she noticed people staring at her. At first, she thought she was being paranoid, but then she heard the whispers, "Is that her? The maid who's engaged to that billionaire? She doesn't look like much in person." Sophia kept her head down and tried to finish her shopping quickly. But as she was leaving, a young woman with a phone approached her. "Excuse me, are you Sophia Martinez?" "I'm sorry, I really can't." Sophia started, but the woman was already recording. "How does it feel to go from cleaning toilets to dating a billionaire? Are you in love, or is this about the money?" Sophia felt her face burn with embarrassment. "Please, I just want to buy groceries." "Come on, just one question. What's it like being Cinderella?" Sophia practically ran to her car, but she could see the woman still filming her retreat. By the time she got home, she was shaking. Her phone, which she had turned back on, immediately started ringing. The number wasn't familiar, but when Sophia answered, she recognized the voice immediately. "Hello, Sophia. This is Victoria Sterling." Sophia's blood went cold. "What do you want?" "Just to chat, woman to woman." Victoria's voice was sweet as poisoned honey. "I think we got off on the wrong foot last night." "I don't think we have anything to talk about." "Oh, but we do. You see, I've been doing some research on you, and I've discovered some very interesting things." Sophia's heart started pounding. "What kind of things?" "Well, for instance, did you know that your mother's medical bills are currently over $200,000, and that your family is 3 months behind on rent? And that you've been working 3 jobs just to keep your heads above water?" Sophia felt like she was going to be sick. "How do you know that?" "I know lots of things, sweetheart. I also know that a girl in your position might be very tempted to, shall we say, secure her future by any means necessary." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that when this little fairy tale falls apart, and it will fall apart, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you really are. A gold-digging little nobody who seduced a lonely billionaire and manipulated him into a fake engagement." Sophia gripped the phone so hard her knuckles went white. "It's not fake." Victoria laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Please, you think Damien Blackwell would actually marry someone like you? You clean his toilets, for God's sake. He's having a midlife crisis, and you're convenient. But when he comes to his senses, and he will, I'll be waiting. Why are you doing this? Because Damien is mine. He always has been. Our families have been planning our union for years, and I'm not going to let some desperate little maid ruin everything I've worked for. Damien doesn't love you. Love? Victoria laughed again. This isn't about love, you naive little girl. This is about power, money, legacy, things you couldn't possibly understand. Damien needs someone who can stand beside him as an equal, not someone he has to take care of like a charity case. Each word hit Sophia like a physical blow, mostly because they echoed her own fears. Now, Victoria continued, I'm going to give you one chance to do the right thing. Break up with Damien, publicly. Tell everyone it was all a misunderstanding, that you got caught up in the excitement and said things you didn't mean. Walk away now, and I'll make sure you land softly. Maybe a nice job in another city. Help with your mother's medical bills. Sophia's mind was reeling. And if I don't, then I'll destroy you. I'll make sure every dirty little secret about you and your family is front-page news. I'll have you fired from every job you ever try to get. I'll make your life so miserable that you'll beg me to let you disappear. The line went quiet for a moment. Then Victoria's voice became almost gentle. I'm not the villain here, Sophia. I'm trying to save you from a world that will chew you up and spit you out. You don't belong in Damien's life, and deep down, you know that. Don't make this harder than it has to be. The call ended, leaving Sophia staring at her phone with tears streaming down her face. Because the worst part was, Victoria was right about one thing. Sophia didn't know if she belonged in Damien's world, and she wasn't sure she was strong enough to fight for a place in it. That evening, Sophia sat at her mother's bedside in the small bedroom of their apartment. Maria Martinez looked frail and tired, but her eyes were bright with curiosity. Mija, what's all this about you being on the news? Her mother asked weakly. Mrs. Rodriguez from next door showed me pictures on her phone. You're engaged? Sophia had been dreading this conversation. How could she explain to her sick mother that she had gotten caught up in a lie that was spiraling out of control? It's complicated, Mama, Sophia said. Complicated how? Do you love this man? That was the question Sophia had been avoiding all day. Did she love Damien? She barely knew him. They'd had coffee once and shared a few conversations. But there was something about him, the way he looked at her like she mattered, the way he had defended her against Victoria, the loneliness she saw in his eyes that matched her own. I think I could, Sophia said quietly. Then what's the problem? The problem is that he's one of the richest men in New York, and I clean his office for a living. The problem is that his world is full of people like Victoria Sterling who think I'm just a gold digger. The problem is that maybe they're right. Maria reached out and took her daughter's hand. Mija, listen to me. Your father, God rest his soul, was the poorest man I ever met when I fell in love with him. He had nothing but a good heart and strong hands. But he made me feel like a queen every day of our marriage. Sophia felt tears welling up in her eyes. Money doesn't make a man, her mother continued. And it doesn't make a woman either. If this Damien sees something good in you, it's because it's there. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. But Mama, what if I'm not strong enough for his world? What if I embarrass him? Then he's not the right man for you. But if he is the right man, he'll help you be strong. That's what love is, Mija. Two people helping each other become the best versions of themselves. Sophia squeezed her mother's hand. I'm scared. Good. Being scared means it matters to you. Now tell me, when you're with this man, how do you feel? Sophia thought about the coffee shop, about the way Damien had listened to her dreams of helping children through art therapy like they were the most important things in the world. I feel like myself, she said, but also like a better version of myself. Then fight for it, Maria said firmly. Fight for love, Mija. It's the only thing worth fighting for. The next morning, Sophia woke up with a new sense of determination. She wasn't going to let Victoria Sterling or anyone else scare her away from something that could be beautiful. But first, she needed to be honest with Damien about everything. She was getting dressed for work when her phone rang. It was Mrs. Chen, the head of housekeeping. Sophia, I'm sorry, but I have to let you go, Mrs. Chen said without preamble. Sophia's heart sank. What? Why? Building management says you've become a distraction. With all the reporters and photographers hanging around, they think it's best if you find other employment. Sophia closed her eyes. It was starting. Victoria's threats were already coming true. I understand, Sophia said quietly. I'm sorry, Mija. You're a good worker. But this is complicated. After hanging up, Sophia sat on her bed and tried not to cry. She had just lost her best-paying job, and she had no idea how she was going to pay for her mother's treatments now. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is just the beginning. Walk away now while you still can. V. Sophia stared at the message for a long moment. Then she deleted it, got dressed, and headed to Blackwell Industries. If she was going down, she was going down fighting. When Sophia arrived at the building, she wasn't surprised to see photographers camped outside. What she wasn't prepared for was the way they swarmed her the moment she stepped out of her car. Sophia, are you here to see your fiancé? Is it true you've been fired? What do you say to reports that this is all a publicity stunt? How much is Damien paying you? Sophia kept her head down and pushed through the crowd, but the questions followed her all the way to the lobby. When she finally made it inside, the security guard looked at her with sympathy. Miss Martinez? Mr. Blackwell is waiting for you upstairs. Sophia took the elevator to the executive floor, her heart pounding with every floor they climbed. When the doors opened, she saw Damien waiting for her in the hallway. He looked tired and stressed, but his face lit up when he saw her. Sophia, thank God. I heard about your job. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, Sophia said, though part of her wondered if it kind of was. Come on, Damien said, leading her toward his office. We need to talk. But as they walked down the hallway, Sophia noticed the stares from other employees. Some looked curious, others disapproving. A few whispered as she passed. She had never felt more out of place in her life. In Damien's office, Sophia sat in one of the expensive leather chairs and tried to gather her courage for what she needed to say. Damien, I need to tell you something, she started. Before you say anything, Damien interrupted. I want you to know that I've been thinking about this all night. About us. About what happened at the party. Sophia's heart clenched. This was it. He was going to tell her it was all a mistake. And I realize, Damien continued, that I should have been honest with you from the beginning. Honest about what? Damien took a deep breath. About how I feel about you. Sophia blinked. How you feel about me? Sophia, last night, when you said you were my fiancée, it wasn't just convenient or helpful. It was the most beautiful thing anyone has ever done for me. I don't understand. Damien moved closer to her chair. I've been falling in love with you for months. Every morning when I saw you in here, taking care of everything with such care and kindness, I wanted to talk to you, but I didn't know how. I didn't know if someone like you could ever care about someone like me. Sophia stared at him. Someone like you? You're kidding, right? I'm serious. Sophia, you see the real me. Not my money or my name or what I can do for you. You see me. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Sophia felt tears starting in her eyes. But your world will have to accept you if they want me in it, Damien said firmly. Sophia, I know this is crazy. I know we barely know each other. But I want to try this for real. Not fake, not pretend. Real. Damien. Sophia started, but he held up his hand. Before you answer, you need to know what you'd be getting into. My world is not kind to outsiders. There will be people like Victoria who will try to tear you down. The press will dig into every aspect of your life. It will be hard. I know, Sophia said quietly. Victoria called me yesterday. Damien's face went dark. She what? She offered to make this all go away if I just walked away from you. And when I said no, she threatened to destroy me. That bitch, Damien said, anger flashing in his eyes. What did she threaten? Everything. My job, my family, my reputation. She said she'd make sure I could never work again. She can't do that. She already started. I lost my job this morning. Damien was quiet for a moment, processing this. Then he looked at Sophia with an expression she couldn't read. And you're still here, he said. I'm still here. Why? Sophia took a deep breath. This was the moment. The moment where she either fought for something beautiful or let fear win. Because last night, when I saw you looking so trapped and miserable, I realized something. You weren't the only one who was lonely. Damien's eyes softened. I've spent my whole life feeling invisible, Sophia continued. Like I didn't matter to anyone except as someone who could clean up their messes or serve their food. But when you look at me, I feel seen. When you talk to me, I feel heard. And maybe that's not love yet, but it could be. Sophia, I'm not saying this will be easy. I'm not saying I won't be scared every day, but I want to try. If you're willing to teach me how to be in your world, I'm willing to learn. Damien was across the room in 2 steps, pulling her out of the chair and into his arms. For a moment, they just held each other, and Sophia felt like maybe, just maybe, this crazy thing could work. There's just one thing, Damien said, pulling back to look at her. What? If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. I want to take you on real dates. I want to introduce you to my friends. I want to show you off to the world, not because you're some trophy, but because I'm proud to be with you. Sophia smiled through her tears. I'd like that. And Sophia, you don't need to learn how to be in my world. My world needs to learn how to be worthy of you. Before Sophia could respond, Damien's office door burst open. Eleanor Blackwell stood in the doorway, her face a mask of cold fury. Damien Alexander Blackwell, she said in a voice that could freeze fire. We need to talk. Now. Damien's arms tightened protectively around Sophia. Mother, I told you I was in a meeting. A meeting? Eleanor's gaze flicked to Sophia with obvious disdain. Is that what we're calling it? Mrs. Blackwell, Sophia said, trying to step away from Damien, but he held her firm. Miss Martinez, Eleanor said coldly. How convenient that you're here. It saves me the trouble of tracking you down. Mother, Damien warned. No, Damien. This has gone far enough. Eleanor stepped into the office and closed the door behind her. Do you have any idea what you've done? The board is threatening a vote of no confidence. 3 major clients have pulled their accounts. The stock price has dropped 12% since last night. Sophia felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. I had no idea. Of course you didn't, Eleanor said sharply. Because you don't understand the first thing about this world or the responsibilities that come with it. That's enough, Damien said, his voice dangerous. No, it's not enough. Damien, this girl is ruining everything we've worked for. Everything your grandfather built. And for what? Some misguided notion of love? It's not misguided, Damien said firmly. Eleanor turned to Sophia, and her expression was almost pitying. My dear, do you really think this can work? Do you honestly believe you can handle the pressure of being married to one of the most powerful men in America? Sophia wanted to say yes, but the words stuck in her throat. You'll be scrutinized every day, Eleanor continued relentlessly. Every outfit, every word, every facial expression will be analyzed and criticized. You'll have to attend charity, galas, and board meetings and political functions where one wrong move could cost your husband millions. Can you handle that? Sophia started, but Eleanor wasn't finished. And what about children? What happens when you have a baby who will inherit $1 billion empire? Can you raise a child to handle that kind of responsibility? Can you teach them about the weight of family legacy when you don't understand it yourself? Each question hit Sophia like a physical blow. She could feel Damien's tension beside her, but she could also feel her own confidence crumbling. You're destroying him? Eleanor said quietly. Can't you see that? Every day he stays with you is another day his reputation suffers, another day his company loses value, another day his future slips away. Stop, Damien said, but Sophia was already stepping away from him. Maybe she's right, Sophia whispered. No, Damien said firmly, reaching for her. Sophia, don't listen to her. I've seen the articles, Damien. I've read the comments. Everyone thinks I'm just using you. I don't care what everyone thinks. But maybe you should. Sophia's voice was getting louder, more desperate. Maybe your mother is right. Maybe I am destroying everything you've worked for. The only thing being destroyed here is my patience, Damien said, turning to his mother. Get out! Excuse me? I said get out. This conversation is over. Eleanor's face went white with rage. If you choose her over your family, over your company, over everything that matters, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. The only thing I'd regret is losing Sophia because I was too much of a coward to fight for her. Eleanor stared at her son for a long moment, then turned to Sophia. You have 24 hours to end this. If you don't, I will. And trust me, dear, you won't like my methods. She swept out of the office, leaving Sophia and Damien alone in the deafening silence. Sophia, Damien said gently, look at me. But Sophia couldn't look at him, because she was starting to think that maybe Eleanor Blackwell was right. Maybe she was destroying the man she was falling in love with. I need to go, Sophia said quietly. Sophia, please, don't let her get in your head. I'm not, I need to think. Sophia headed for the door, but Damien caught her hand. Promise me you won't do anything drastic. Promise me you'll talk to me before you make any decisions. Sophia looked into his dark eyes and saw the fear there. Fear that she was about to walk away. I promise, she said. But as she left his office and walked past the staring employees and through the lobby full of photographers, Sophia wasn't sure it was a promise she could keep. That night, Sophia sat in her apartment with her mother's medical bills spread across the kitchen table. The numbers blurred together as tears filled her eyes. Without her job at Blackwell Industries, she had no idea how she was going to pay for her mother's next round of treatments. Her phone had been ringing all day with interview requests and job rejections. Word traveled fast in the service industry, and apparently being Damien Blackwell's controversial fiancée made her unemployable. Around midnight, there was a soft knock on her door. Sophia looked through the peephole and saw a well-dressed woman she didn't recognize. Miss Martinez? My name is Catherine Wells. I work for the Sterling family. Miss Sterling would like to speak with you. Sophia's blood went cold. I have nothing to say to Victoria Sterling. She's prepared to make you a very generous offer, one that could solve all your financial problems. Despite herself, Sophia opened the door. What kind of offer? Catherine smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. The kind that could change your life. May I come in? Against her better judgment, Sophia let the woman into her apartment. Catherine looked around at the cramped space, the worn furniture, the stack of medical bills, and Sophia saw pity in her eyes. Miss Sterling has asked me to present you with a proposal, Catherine said, pulling out an envelope. She's prepared to offer you $2 million to end your relationship with Mr. Blackwell. Sophia's heart stopped. $2 million? In cash, no strings attached. All you have to do is hold a press conference tomorrow morning announcing that your engagement was a misunderstanding, that you and Mr. Blackwell are just friends, and that you wish him well in finding someone more suitable. Sophia stared at the envelope. $2 million would pay for her mother's treatments, their rent, everything they needed. It would set them up for life. And if I don't? Catherine's smile became sharper. Then Miss Sterling will be forced to release certain information that might be embarrassing for you and your family. What information? Your mother's immigration status, for one thing. It would be such a shame if she were to be deported while undergoing cancer treatment. Sophia felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. My mother is a legal resident. Are you sure about that? Immigration law is so complicated. Sometimes people think they have proper documentation when they actually don't. It would take months to sort out, and in the meantime, Catherine shrugged. You're threatening to have my sick mother deported? I'm offering you a way to avoid that unpleasantness altogether. $2 million, Miss Martinez. Your mother's medical bills, a new start somewhere else, and the peace of mind that comes with knowing you did the right thing. Sophia's hands were shaking as she stared at the envelope. I need time to think. I'm afraid time is a luxury you don't have. Miss Sterling needs an answer by tomorrow morning. The press conference is scheduled for 10 a.m. You can either be there announcing your breakup with Mr. Blackwell, or you can be explaining to your mother why she's being taken away in handcuffs. Catherine placed the envelope on Sophia's coffee table and headed for the door. I hope you make the right choice, Miss Martinez, for everyone's sake. After she left, Sophia collapsed onto her couch and stared at the envelope. $2 million, her mother's life. Damien's reputation and company. Everything was spinning out of control. Sophia picked up the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a check made out to her for $2 million, along with a typed statement she was supposed to read at the press conference. The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. I want to clarify that my relationship with Damien Blackwell has been greatly misunderstood by the media. We are friends, nothing more. I got caught up in the excitement of the moment and said things I didn't mean. Mr. Blackwell deserves someone who truly understands his world, and I am not that person. I wish him all the happiness in the world with someone more suitable. Sophia crumpled the paper and threw it across the room. She couldn't do this. She couldn't betray Damien like this. But then she looked at her mother's medical bills, at the eviction notice that had come yesterday, at the photos on her phone of her mother looking so frail and sick. How could she choose her own happiness over her mother's life? Sophia was still sitting there at 3 a.m. when her phone rang. Damien's name appeared on the screen. I can't sleep, he said when she answered. I keep thinking about what my mother said to you today. Damien, I want you to know that none of it matters to me. The company, the stock price, the board of directors. None of it matters if I lose you. Sophia felt fresh tears streaming down her face. But it should matter. It's your life's work. You're my life now, Damien said softly. Sophia, I love you. The words hit her like lightning. You? What? I love you. I know it's crazy. I know we've only known each other for a few days. But I've never felt this way about anyone. You make me want to be a better man. Sophia was crying so hard she could barely speak. Damien, I love you too. Then marry me. For real this time. Not because of some crazy mix-up at a party, but because we choose each other. Sophia looked at the crumpled statement on her floor, at the check for $2 million, at the stack of bills that represented her mother's life. I can't, she whispered. There was silence on the other end of the line. What do you mean you can't? I mean I can't marry you. I can't be what you need me to be. Sophia, what's wrong? What happened? She wanted to tell him about Victoria's threats, about the money, about everything. But if she did, he would try to fix it. He would fight Victoria and probably make everything worse. And in the end, people would still think she was just a gold digger who had manipulated him. I realized that your mother was right. We're too different. I don't belong in your world. That's not true. It is true, Damien. I love you enough to let you go. Sophia, please, don't do this. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it together. Some things can't be fixed, Sophia said, her heart breaking with every word. I'm sorry, Damien. I'm so sorry. She hung up the phone and turned it off, ignoring his calls as they immediately started coming in. The next morning, Sophia stood in front of the cameras at Victoria's press conference, wearing her best dress and trying not to throw up. Victoria stood beside her, looking elegant and victorious. Thank you all for coming, Victoria said into the microphone. I know there's been a lot of speculation about the relationship between Damien Blackwell and Miss Martinez, and we wanted to clear the air. Sophia stepped up to the microphone, the prepared statement shaking in her hands. This was it, the moment that would destroy the best thing that had ever happened to her. I want to clarify, Sophia began, her voice barely above a whisper, that my relationship with Damien Blackwell has been greatly misunderstood. She paused, looking out at the sea of cameras and reporters. Somewhere in the city, Damien was probably watching this. Somewhere, her mother was lying in a hospital bed, depending on Sophia to make the right choice. The truth is, Sophia continued, and she could feel Victoria tensing beside her. I love him. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Victoria's hand shot out to grab the microphone, but Sophia pulled it away. I love Damien Blackwell with all my heart, Sophia said, her voice getting stronger. And because I love him, I can't let anyone use me to hurt him. Sophia, Victoria hissed. What are you doing? Sophia turned to face Victoria directly. I'm calling your bluff. She looked back at the cameras. Victoria Sterling has been threatening me and my family, trying to force me to end my relationship with Damien. She's offered me money, threatened my mother with deportation, and done everything she can to destroy us. But I won't be bought, and I won't be bullied. The crowd erupted into chaos. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, and Victoria's face went white with rage. "She's lying," Victoria shouted into the microphone. "She's a desperate girl who will say anything to—" "I have recordings," Sophia said calmly. "Of our phone conversations, of the threats, of everything." It was a bluff. She didn't have recordings. But the look of panic that flashed across Victoria's face told Sophia she had hit her mark. "Miss Martinez," a reporter called out, "what do you say to people who claim you're only interested in Mr. Blackwell's money?" Sophia took a deep breath. "I say that love isn't about money. It's about finding someone who sees the best in you and helps you become it. Damien does that for me, and I hope I do that for him. If that's not enough for some people, then they don't understand what love really is." "What about the class differences?" another reporter asked. "There are differences between us," Sophia admitted. "But those differences make us stronger. He shows me a world of possibilities I never knew existed. I show him what it means to work hard for the things you value. We make each other better." Sophia stepped away from the microphone, leaving Victoria standing alone in front of the hostile crowd. As she walked away, she could hear Victoria trying to explain herself, trying to regain control, but it was too late. The damage was done. Sophia made it 3 blocks before her phone started working again. She had dozens of missed calls from Damien, from reporters, from numbers she didn't recognize. But it was the text from Damien that made her stop walking. "Where are you? I'm coming to get you." Before Sophia could respond, a black car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, and there was Damien, looking frantic and relieved and proud all at the same time. "Get in," he said. Sophia climbed into the car, and before she could say anything, Damien was kissing her. It was desperate and grateful and full of all the things they couldn't say. "I watched the press conference," he said when they finally broke apart. "I can't believe you did that." "I couldn't let her win," Sophia said. "I couldn't let her destroy us." "What about your mother? The threats? We'll figure it out, together." Damien smiled and pulled her closer. "Together." I like the sound of that. "Damien, I need to tell you something." "What?" Sophia took a deep breath. "I was going to take the money. Last night, when she offered me $2 million to walk away from you, I almost took it." Damien was quiet for a moment. "Why didn't you?" "Because you told me you loved me. And I realized that no amount of money is worth giving up the chance to love someone who sees me the way you do." "Sophia Martinez," Damien said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. "Will you marry me? For real this time?" Sophia stared at the ring, a simple, beautiful solitaire that caught the light like starfire. "Are you sure? Even after everything that's happened? Even knowing how hard this is going to be?" "Especially because of how hard it's going to be. I want to fight the world for you, Sophia. I want to spend the rest of my life proving that love is stronger than money or class or anything else people try to use to tear us apart." Sophia thought about her mother, lying in her hospital bed, telling her to fight for love. She thought about all the people who would judge them, all the obstacles they would face. And then she thought about the way Damien looked at her, like she was precious and powerful and exactly enough. "Yes," she said, and the word felt like coming home. "Yes, I'll marry you." As Damien slipped the ring onto her finger, Sophia realized that this wasn't the end of their story. It was just the beginning. There would be more challenges, more people trying to tear them apart, more moments when they would have to choose love over everything else. But they would face it all together. And that made them stronger than any force that could come against them. 6 months later, Sophia stood in the small chapel of the Children's Hospital, where her mother was finally cancer-free, wearing a simple white dress and holding a bouquet of white roses. The chapel was filled with an unlikely mix of people. Billionaire board members sitting next to construction workers, society wives next to school teachers. All of them there to witness something that had started as the most impossible lie and become the most beautiful truth. Damien stood at the altar in a simple black suit, his eyes never leaving Sophia's face as she walked down the aisle. Behind him stood Marcus, his best man, and beside Sophia walked her mother, healthy and radiant and proud. When the priest asked if anyone objected to the union, Sophia half expected Victoria Sterling to burst through the doors. But Victoria was conspicuously absent. Last Sophia had heard, she was dealing with her own scandals after recordings of her threats had mysteriously appeared on several gossip websites. Do you, Damien Alexander Blackwell, take Sophia Martinez to be your wife, to love and cherish her, in wealth and in poverty, in triumph and in struggle, for as long as you both shall live? I do, Damien said, his voice strong and sure. Do you, Sophia Martinez, take Damien Alexander Blackwell to be your husband, to love and support him, to stand beside him as an equal, to build a life together based on love, rather than convenience, for as long as you both shall live? Sophia looked into Damien's eyes and saw their future stretching out before them, challenging, beautiful, real. I do, she said. When the priest pronounced them husband and wife, the chapel erupted in applause. But Sophia only heard one sound, Damien's voice whispering in her ear as he kissed her. I love you, Mrs. Blackwell. I love you too, Sophia whispered back. As they walked back down the aisle together, Sophia caught sight of a banner hanging at the back of the chapel. It had been made by the children from the art therapy program she had started with Damien's support. Their first joint venture as a couple. The banner read, Love always wins. And looking at the faces of everyone who had come to celebrate their impossible love story, Sophia knew it was true. Sometimes the greatest love stories began with the most dangerous lies, but they always ended with the most beautiful truths. The end. And so, this is how a desperate lie became the greatest truth of their lives. Sophia and Damien's story reminds us that love doesn't care about bank accounts, social status, or even the messiest beginnings. Real love chooses you when the world says you don't belong. It fights for you when the stakes are highest. It transforms even the wildest lie into something sacred. Sophia started as a maid and became a queen. Her lie became a legacy. Her love brought New York's mightiest billionaire to his knees. If this story moved you, I'd love to hear from you. Hit that like button if you believe in love that conquers all. Subscribe if you want more stories that prove anything is possible when two hearts refuse to give up on each other. And drop a white heart in the comments if Sophia's courage inspired you. Thank you for being part of this incredible journey with us. Your support makes these stories possible. Until our next love story, keep believing in the impossible. Hive.